Come on.
Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello and welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast that we do 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You'll notice we did not do a podcast on Friday because, quite frankly, we just couldn't. We got to the end of the show and I said, you know what? We're taking a mental health day from the podcast.
Miguel said, I cannot.
I was like, I have nothing positive to say.
Or constructive.
Or constructive, obviously dealing with all things election. And I said, I just can't do it. So we took a mental health day. But we are back. And we are going to dive into, I think, one of the many takeaways from what's been happening with the from the election that people are dealing with is cutting people off because of who they voted for.
Very common.
Yep. I've been seeing a lot of posts about it on people's stories and whatnot. So a Miguel and Holly fan member messaged me on Friday and she was like, hey, I need some advice. And it was so long. She was like, I had to write a note and take a screenshot and send it to you because she was like, I don't know what to do.
Gotcha.
So here's what she said. Hey, Miguel, I listen to the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast on days I work from home, and I love it. I'm reaching out because I need some advice regarding the election and losing friends. I listened to the election podcast that you, Kelvin, and Holly recorded this week, and I appreciated how you all handled the election results, even though the person you voted for was not the winner. My best friend, who is a member of the LGBTQ community, decided to silently end our friendship because I voted for Trump and not Kamala, even though she knows I have voted for him in the past. For this election, I was undecided up until the last minute, and I wasn't sure if I even wanted to cast a vote.
Oh, one of those elusive undecided voters.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She's newly into politics and relies on TikTok for most of her information. I have always been respectful of her decision to vote for Kamala, even though have even watched a few debates with her. I thought we had a good understanding to not get too heavy into politics with each other and can agree to disagree and still have a friendship filled with trust and laughter, even though we have different views. I keep seeing her Facebook posts that are bashing anyone who voted for Trump and even gone as far as calling his supporters homophobic, racist, and misogynistic, and anyone who voted for him is against her. She also believes her right for same-sex marriage will be revoked, although I can't find any verified facts or news articles saying that is Trump's plan. I wouldn't have voted for him if it was. I don't consider myself any of those things, and it makes me sad that she now feels that way about me and that I'm no longer a safe place for her. I'm still the same person I have been, but I don't feel like I should be embarrassed or apologize for voting differently than she did. I understand how it feels when your candidate does not win, and I'm afraid she will go down a rabbit hole of misinformation based on what she sees on TikTok. Any advice on what I can say or do to help make the situation better would be really appreciated. So I saw that and I took it in on Friday and I said to her, I am not in a headspace right now to answer you in a respectful, calm way.
You're like, I'm taking a mental health day.
Yep. I was like, I promise you, I will take it and we will talk about it first thing on the podcast on Monday once I have some time to just decompress and get my mind off of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So on first blush, what advice would you give to this Platypus Posse member?
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious as to how long they've been friends. I mean,
is this their best friend, did they say? Or just
Yeah.
a friend? Or does it say? Also,
Best friend.
best friend.
My best friend is a member of the LGBTQ.
So, like, conversations weren't had prior to the actual election day? It seems like there would have been, right?
I mean, I'm assuming that they did because he said they watch debates together and they've talked about it. But I think there's one thing when, you know, if you were voting for Kamala Harris and there was hope that you would win. And so you were like, well, if we win, you know, we're good. But I think it's a whole different story when you wake up Wednesday morning and they didn't win, and you go into panic mode a little bit and you're like, wait a minute, my candidate didn't win, and now I'm seeing on social media all these people who are gloating and making me feel bad. And so to me, it sounds like this LGBTQ person is like, nope, I'm done. We can't be friends anymore. To me, that's how I take it.
Gotcha. I guess the first thing would be for me is to say it would be to encourage this family member. I don't know if it's a woman or a man or are they them to get curious. About why your best friend is feeling so hurt that they've cut you off. That would be that's my first blush.
I think when I read this and what I've thought about is I think you have to understand why someone like her or me or Kelvin or Holly or anybody else is scared. Because if you Google, like, you know, Trump gay people policy, there, from what I know, and I don't know fully, but I don't think there's anything like written in stone. But what I think is the vibes of what has started to trickle forward with the election results, where your friend, from her perspective, and obviously without knowing her and not talking to her, but from how I feel as a gay person, is the rhetoric around what it's done to embolden people to be hateful and to, you know, I've seen things over the weekend or Saturday morning. No, I'm sorry, this Friday afternoon when I was online before I decided to like take a break from social media for the weekend. And I started seeing the news stories about Black people getting text in North Carolina and Georgia and all over the country from some random number that was like, hey, you're a slave and you have to report to the plantation. That sort of rhetoric. Or when you have people that have attended Trump rallies with Nazi flags. And so to me, they're worried maybe there's not a law that's being planned that we know of, but it's the rhetoric that has now emboldened people to say that. I mean, look at the way that there were so many ads about trans people that we talked about on the podcast.
He weaponized that.
Right. And so
fear-mongered.
It's all of those that makes gay people feel and are saying now, if you voted for that type of rhetoric over me feeling safe, I don't want you in my life. And to me, that's without knowing this person where they're probably coming from.
Right.
I don't understand why it's hard for certain Trump supporters to understand that we are judging you based on your character. You were okay with voting for somebody who, once again, weaponized the trans community to get other people have some fear about this. And now he's talking about wanting to make it illegal for minors to get the transition surgery, which is not happening. So he's continuing this rhetoric. This is a man who called the insurrection a day of love. He does not denounce any of his racist supporters. And when you vote for somebody like that, you're kind of okay with that. But then, like Holly said, you have to be curious and you have to find out what is it about them that they like. If it's based on policy, even though he said that there's concepts of certain policies, or if you really like, I don't know what you like about him, but you have to understand that when you vote for somebody, you're basically being like, well, those kind of crazy things he said or allowed other people to say on his behalf is okay enough for me to vote for him. That's plain and simple. That's really what it is. It didn't bother you enough to not vote for him because you were just like, it's fine. I need my groceries back.
I think, well, and my advice was for the person who wrote in to get curious. You know, well, I think curiosity would help on all sides. Obviously.
I think so too. I've had really calm conversations going through curiosity instead of going through my emotions and feelings.
Right. If we're just going to try, which is sometimes you can't take the emotion out of it because it is emotion based, and then conversation's not going to happen. But if to the person who wrote this in, get curious about why this person is feeling so strongly. And obviously you just heard Miguel and you just heard Kelvin give you reasons why your friend is scared. And if you are having a hard time grasping that, get curious about yourself. Why? So you're not a member of the LGBTQ community, or are you? I don't know. If you're not, then okay, obviously that's not personal to you, but can you put yourself in somebody's shoes? So it's I guess the thing is to lead with curiosity and be like, well, what is making you feel this way? Can you understand that someone in the LGBTQ community, even though there's not like a law being written as we speak, worries that there might be attacks coming, generally, because the people that are loudly against the LGBTQ community also seem to be part of the Donald Trump movement. So do you get that? I wish we could have like a voice disguiser conversation. And I think that, it's people who cannot seem to wrap their head around what it must feel like for another person that they're not.
Right.
Like whether that is a male unable to wrap their head around what a female might feel like a straight person to a gay person, and vice versa, women to men, a person of color and a white person. Like we're stuck now in this space where we are now suspicious of everybody, and that sucks. That's a different conversation. But I think a lot of it just has to be like, how deep is your empathy for another person? And maybe empathy is not high on your list. Maybe high on your list is, I can't rub 2 quarters together and my family is suffering and I'm not gay. I feel for you, but not enough to vote that way because I feel like my family is really in danger. Like that's your fear, right? So if I were to come at it from like my side and like you're telling me, yeah, like, as a woman, the states are going to deal with Roe v. Wade, or not Roe v. Wade, but like the states are going to deal with abortion. So like, it's going to be okay, blah, 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 blah. But you don't understand my fear of I might be losing my job, or whatever the economics portion of it is. I think there's probably fear everywhere, but it's like, can you understand someone else's fear? Curiosity.
Kelvin?
There was a TikTok that that kind of taught me a little bit. I don't know if it taught me or put certain things in perspective, but somebody had said, this family of like 5, for example, does not care about your social issues. They just don't. It is a privilege to vote based on social issues. Like a family of 5 wants to afford their groceries and wants to afford their gas, and they are going to put that first compared to empathy or anything else.
And maybe because there hasn't been like you remember Concepts of a Plan, since there are no laid out like gay marriages will be banned, it hasn't been said. Like this person who wrote to you, Miguel, they said they've looked, they did their research. There is not a bill being introduced or anything where that literally yet, but but they're also going to say, but what proof do you have that it's coming?
Absolutely. And this is why.
So they're saying, okay, well, I understand your fear, but I don't see it. Show me where it is. And I'm going to show you where my budget is, and we're going to lose our car or whatever,
Right.
So,
I mean, and for me, one of the things that, it's so interesting, after I read that message and I responded to her and I said, we'll talk about it on Monday. I believe one of the, when I logged back into just looking at reels, the next reel I saw was actions to take now to protect your LGBTQ family. And it talks about if adopting your kids, do not rely on like if you're a gay couple and, maybe you had surrogacy, or if you're a lesbian couple and like one had the baby, they say do not rely on the birth certificate. I don't care where you live in the US. Some states allow for a judgment of parentage, but please talk to a lawyer in your state. And then I talk about estate docs. So like, for instance, with Abe and I, there is fear that because Supreme Court Judge Clarence Thomas has said in judgments like with Roe versus Wade that maybe we should look at other judgments that have come down for precedents and look at those. So what's going to happen is you have conservative groups that are going to put law or do lawsuits and try to make it up to the Supreme Court to then try to challenge same-sex marriages or gay couples being able to adopt or foster or things like that.
Right.
So those are the things that maybe they're not, they're not on the books now, but after January 20th, that will happen. And so that's the fear where like literally Abe and I are making an appointment that if gay marriage is dissolved, we still are able to make decisions for each other if one of us is sick. That's a lot that you're asking me to look at. But also, I understand I'm in a privileged place as well because I make a decent living and I'm able to go to the grocery store and not stress about it. So I get that as well. But also, I don't want to lose my marriage.
Right. And we could go back and forth with this because
absolutely,
you could say to them like, how bad do you think the economy is going to get where you would just lose your job and everyone's going hungry or whatever? And they can say, yeah, but you're saying your marriage is going to be dissolved, but it's just not. It's just not, Miguel. Like, you're safe. You are okay. And so it's all fear. Whose fear wins out at the end of the day? So if you're not in a gay marriage and your fear is that your family is going to be put out on the street, I think that's where the person who wrote in is coming from.
But that's what you're going to have to consider.
Right. That's that. Look at what your friend who has cut you off is feeling the fear as a member of the LGBTQ community for their rights.
Right.
Their rights.
So that's why you have a lot of people that are upset. I mean, I even got a message from a Platypus Posse member this weekend that lives in Tampa, and she said, I have a best friend that's a lesbian that lives in Denver, and she just got a job offer in Charleston, South Carolina, and they were all gung-ho to go. But now because of the election, they're like, ooh, do we want to move to Charleston? Is it going to be safe for us as a lesbian couple? Those are things that gay people now have to ask themselves. Is it safe for me to move to this place or to travel to this place? So just know that that's where those decisions and posts that you're seeing from people are coming from. And I do have to say that there are some gay people I've seen that I have been very, very disappointed in, because there's this whole narrative in the gay community popping up about, well, if you're a normal gay, then you're not sad about the election. And that right there, like,
a normal gay?
Yes.
What the hell is a normal gay?
Normal gay.
It just, that pisses me off. And I have unfriended some people that I'm like, if you're looking at the gay community like that and you're gay, girl, bye. Nope. I don't need to see what you're putting out there.
People just love to segregate themselves, don't they?
Right. That's why I was like, what is a normal gay?
Who passes for normal?
Right.
Which one of y'all is a normal gay? All the abnormal gays get to the side.
To the wall.
Hopefully that helps you answer your question a little bit. And if you and the Miguel and Holly fam, the Platypus Posse, want to give some answers on Facebook where the video is of this, or YouTube. I'm not even looking at
the comments. I was gonna get distracted.
You can leave some advice there. But I think maybe having a conversation and letting your friend know where you're coming from, and maybe hopefully she'll try to hear you out. But just know that that's as much as we can without knowing all the details where she may be coming from.
And this is a conversation that I had in my personal life. I was like, okay. let's put got it, right, this, that. I was like, are you not also afraid that we simply won't have any more elections?
Right.
Because there's so many talking points. There's so many things that you could get into the weeds about, right? But from what I was having a conversation. I was like, but what if he just don't leave?
Mm.
I mean, obviously, if you voted for Donald Trump, I guarantee you were not worried one single bit. Let's just say that. Well, you're not worried. You voted for Trump. You are seriously not worried that Biden might just stay.
Right.
Because he wouldn't.
Right.
Nobody would. Except for Trump. Because he tried with the lie, right? He tried. And so that's another talking point. You can what about that? What about that? Because that's a thing that happened, right? I mean, he tried to make it so that he couldn't leave office. And so I think you've got people that are worried about that. So
I also want to give a shout out to one of our radio friends, Anish. He did radio in Chicago, and he put up on his story. He's like, I woke up Wednesday morning just shocked that so many people that I know and love voted for Trump. I don't understand. And he was like, after going through cycles of anger and sadness and grief, I clearly don't know you that well. So can you write to me? He did like a little question and answer on his Instagram. Why did you vote for him if you did? And he posted some of the results. And I was sort of shocked by what was said. And I wanted to do something like that on my Instagram, but I was like, it's too fresh for me still. And so I applaud him and shout out to a radio brethren who was bold enough to sort of go into the weeds and try to, do some understanding and be curious on his own. I'm not quite there yet. I will be, because I am genuinely curious on why I've seen so many people go that way. So I just wanted to give him a shout out, because I sat down and read through some of the stuff yesterday on his Instagram.
I have to do that. I really tried to take a bit of a backseat from social media this weekend.
No,
me too.
Because it just made me there's just it's unending, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself?
Right. That's why I'm like, that's why Friday afternoon I got home from work. No, I went and got a haircut after work. I got home and I lay down on the couch. And I just was on my phone, just scrolling. And then I was scrolling so much that my thumb started hurting. And I was like, I have been sitting here on the couch for an hour, just scrolling on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And so that's when I did a little post, and I was like, hey, I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm leaving Facebook and Instagram. Bye. I was just like, hey, I'm taking a break this weekend. I think we should all do that. We should all just take a break and put the phone down, go be around your tribe, your community, be around some love, whatever makes you feel good, do that.
Get in some nature.
And that's what I did this weekend. Abe and I went, and we can transition away from that about our weekends, but Abe and I Friday night went to go see Smile 2. And then I got mad at him Friday night because as soon as the movie was over, he was like, what was that? I didn't get it.
Why is he?
I was like, and then I got mad now. And he was like, well, why are you mad at me? I'm not going to like what you like all the time. And I'm like, but you got to poo-poo on my parade.
He I don't know if he does that a lot. I really don't. I'm not around Abe enough to say that. But if he does not like something, the motherfucker will say it.
And so then I got huffy because I was already emotional from the week. And normally we would have laughed about it. But Friday night.
Not ready.
That was a heavy movie too.
It was. So then we got in the car and I was just like, and I sat there with my arms folded as we drove home. And he was like, don't be like that. And I was like, but you don't got to always be like poo-poo on what I like, because you saw that I liked it. And he was like, well, maybe I just didn't understand it. And then I felt bad because then he was like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, we'll just have to have you watch the first one again, because maybe I was mistaken and you just didn't see the first one. But it made sense to me and I liked it.
What didn't he understand? It was a go-to. You get possessed.
I don't know. At that point, I didn't want to talk about it more. So.
You didn't get curious.
I was not curious. My feelings were hurt. I didn't want to be curious. All I wanted to say was you. But then, like, once we got home, I was fine. Like, once we did the little 15-minute drive, I was like,
sometimes you just need a minute.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I sometimes just need a minute. And it's because I usually had to like self-soothe
Right.
any kind of thing. And so usually I need to be quiet for just a minute so I can like get right in my own head. And maybe even totally by myself, and then come back and be like, all right, what else?
Be like,
let's turn the topic.
Be like, I'm sorry. But Smile 2, Shelby's asking, how was Smile 2? I thought it was great, but I do think that we should have watched the first one because they literally jump back into it. I mean, like the first scene is like 6 days later after like what happened in the first one.
Damn.
And so I would suggest watching the first one again, even if you like loved it last year, Smile, just watch it to refresh before you go see it in theaters.
Yeah, because I sort of forgot some of the rules or like how it goes, but I felt like the second one, you didn't really need to. I don't know. I didn't think you needed to.
I think that's probably why he was confused about what happened, because I knew, obviously if you haven't seen Smile, spoiler alert, that if you are possessed by this demon, I believe it is, it spreads by, like, if you get possessed by it, you will start seeing things and you see people doing that creepy smile at you.
I don't like it. Why are you both doing it?
I love it.
And then what happens is the person ends up like killing themselves. The demon will make that person kill themselves. And if you do it in front of another person, then the demon jumps into the other person that saw you kill yourself. And so that's how it spreads. But then there's like a storyline about it in the first one that like jumps right back into it for the second one.
But I'm also like, I haven't seen these movies. I'm not going to see these movies. But also, like, isn't that kind of like bad for the demon? You're asking your host to stop living, so then what do? You jump
into the next
one.
one.
You jump into the next one. Someone has to witness.
But what if nobody witnesses it?
Well,
that's some of the storyline you got to watch.
Some of the storyline.
Yeah. So anyway, so we did that Friday night, and then Saturday was my like, let's be gay in Charlotte, and so we did brunch every day. Every weekend's a gay day, but for this one, it was like,
when are you not gay in Charlotte?
Never. So we went to brunch Saturday, hopped around to a couple of places, and then we went to our friend Spencer's hot tub, and hung out there with his neighbors who were really cool. And then we just had like a nice little evening in the hot tub and was in bed pretty early. So, and then yesterday we just relaxed on the couch. Some friends came over. We watched Harry Potter. I made breakfast tacos, and it was a fantastic. I needed to recharge this weekend.
What'd you make in the breakfast tacos?
I do. Oh, this is fun. So I think I found a great recipe for it. So you get green onions, and then you take the white part of the green onions at the base, and you chop those up, saute those in the pan with some olive oil or butter for a little bit, and then you put the eggs in, scramble the onions and the green onions, the eggs and the green onions together. And then you have your tortilla. You put that on there with the rest of the actual green onion part with some cilantro. And then from there, if you can do bacon bits, you can do avocado, cilantro, whatever you want to put on there. But to me, the magic sauce is the white part of the green onion with the eggs. That likes what gives it that wonderful flavor.
We usually cook green onions. Usually they're just raw and things, but that's cool.
But yeah, so that's like my fun like breakfast taco recipe.
All right.
Yeah. So that was my weekend. Holly, how was yours?
Fine. It was fine. What did we do? What on earth did we do? Friday night we finished watching Pirates of the Caribbean 2 because Maya wants to watch a little more like, older movies now that she's 11. So we decided to do Pirates of the Caribbean last month, and she liked it a lot. And then the second one, we started it and like couldn't finish it one day. And so Friday we watched like the second, it's a long movie, by the way. We watched like the second hour and a half of it. She got bored. And to be fair, like there's a lot of double and triple crossing that goes on in that movie.
Right.
And you really kind of got to pay attention. And she's just like, all over the place. At one point, she's like, I'm going to go paint my nails. I'm like, all right, obviously she's not into this, but we were like, well, I'm into it now. So we kept watching it. So it was Friday night and it was just, my fiance fell asleep on the couch at 10 p.m.
Oh.
on Friday. So I was like, well, I know what I need to do. And he was kind of drowsy anyway. And I was like, I'm just going to rewatch the last couple episodes of Only Murders in the Building because we had finished it we finished season 4 last week, but I was not with it enough to know what happened.
Yes, it would be like that.
Sometimes you're like, did I watch this?
Yes.
So I literally just rewatched the last 2 episodes while he slept on the couch. And I was like, oh, okay, now I really see what happened. Which he's like, did anyone even die at the end? And I was like, yes. Yes, they did. Because I was heading to have my own little Trulies or whatever.
That was me
Friday.
last night. We tried to watch the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix. And I remember like the first 20 minutes, but then my sleep aid had kicked in. And so I was sort of in and out of sleep. And I'm like, we're going to have to watch the whole thing over again because I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, there's quite a few movies that I'm like, we never watched this. Oh, we did watch it? Oh, well, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Friday night. And then Saturday, it was a family day. And I decided to take down Halloween, put up like my fall decor. And so that was that. What do we do? And then Maya out of the blue got invited to sleep over a friend's house. So that was Saturday night. So then we had like an unexpected adults only Saturday night. And we decided to watch The Woman of the Hour with Anna Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of us were prepared.
No, it's that first scene just bam, it starts off just.
We were not prepared. That's not our usual fare. We're pretty like action adventure or sci-fi, what is it called? Like fantasy or superhero or something. So about 20 minutes into the movie, and it was only an hour and a half, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Longest hour and a half of my life. About 20 minutes in, he pauses it and he looks at me and he's like, this is a lot. And I'm like, it is a lot. He's like, okay, good. Is not me. I'm like, no, this is a lot. And I'm like, do you not want to watch it? And he's like, no, I think I want to finish it, but I'm like, yep. All right. So we both got up, got some drinks. I got myself another Truly. I was like, all right, let's do this. So we finished it. And I was just not right after that. Because I was like, it's just so much. And it's, it's about like a serial killer in the 70s, basically. And it's just so much that then after that, we're like, what do we say?
Right.
Like, what do we talk about?
And what's crazy about this, because I remember listening to a podcast about Homeboy, the serial killer from then. They call him the dating game serial killer because he made it on the dating game back in the 70s.
Like a national TV show.
Yeah. And I don't know, because I can't remember because it's been probably 4 years since I listened to the podcast, but I don't know how much of that is true where Anna Kendrick's character matches with the serial killer.
Right.
They go on a date and she starts getting the vibe that like something is not right about this guy. Meanwhile, in the audience is someone who knows that he's the killer.
Yes.
And she's trying to alert everybody. And it's the 70s. So they're like, girl, stop being crazy. Stop being hysterical. But
yeah.
I think what really happened, it played out a little bit differently on how someone saw him on the dating game. But still, it's freaking wild that back then they did no background checks. Nothing. They were just like
technology.
No, because there was no way. And that's how so many serial killers got away with it back in the day, because there was no national database for anything.
There was no way to check anything like that, DNA testing and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
A notebook.
Right. So it was just a lot. It was a good movie. It was well done, and it was just so heavy that I was like, and it was only at this point, it was only 9 p.m. I'm like, what are we gonna do? So we decided to go watch some old Key and Peele episodes. Like the best of Key and Peele, like where they do the college football names and where they do that one where they're like, bitch. Like we just palate cleanser. And so after that, we're like, okay, all right, let's watch a comedy or something. And he was like, you know what was funny? I remember from a long time ago was, do you remember is it Kevin James?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who King of Queens?
Yeah, Kevin
Okay.
James. Mm-hmm.
He's like, that was a funny stand-up. So we start watching it and we get about 20 minutes into that and he stops and he's like, actually, this didn't age well. Is there anything else? Because it didn't. It was in 2017, by the way.
Oh,
and
wow.
it didn't really age well.
Yeah.
And you're like, Kevin James, he seems pretty like all around Mr. Nice. Got Paul Blart and all. God, no. But some of it still, I was like, this is like not really that funny. So we stopped that. We did find one to watch, but then Sunday, and we ended up just going to bed after that. And then Sunday I did a lot of running around. Like I had to get we went to Target, we went to Michael's. I went to Michael's looking to get some Thanksgiving wreaths. Don't bother.
None.
They don't exist.
Bye.
They said
Never
Thanksgiving.
happened. Next
Never heard
year.
of her. Bye.
No.
Next
So-
August.
Yeah, whatever. So that, and we went to a couple different places running around. And that was that. I did watch the Panthers win, which
Mhm.
was amazing.
Keep pounding, baby.
I know I wore my Carolina Panthers shirt today.
Where's yours,
do
Kelvin?
know-
Oh, it's in the car. Mhm.
You want to go grab it?
No, we're
We
in the
can
middle of the
take a picture
podcast
together.
actually, and
You sure?
yeah, no, I'm
Got it.
good.
Okay.
It's
Just
in
wanted
the
to make
car.
sure. Okay.
Back home.
Got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
I saw the Bucks lose miserably,
Oh.
like
Oh, yeah.
miserably. Like people in Tampa are calling for the coach to be fired, basically.
Oh.
I mean, it's now like 2 games that they could have and probably should have won, but they didn't
Mm.
because it was just like like stupid mistakes.
Yikes.
So everyone's like, off with his head, and it's not looking good for the Bucks. But anyway, so that was it. That was about it.
Kelvin?
I have nothing interesting to tell you about my weekend. I'm going to be quite honest. And the reason why is because I was sick the whole time. So Friday after the show, I'm glad we didn't do the podcast. I just needed to hydrate for the most part. I think by nighttime, the only interesting thing I did was go to Publix. I went to Publix. I got a few things. It wasn't even an exciting trip because I wanted to eat, but I couldn't get anything that I could eat. So that happened. Then Saturday, once again, still feeling pretty bad. We did watch Woman of the Hour, and same exact feelings you guys did.
So heavy. It's
Super
just
heavy.
like it and by the way, I will add, I think I said this to my fiance. I wanted to be like, and you understand, like, I have had feelings like that. Obviously, I've not dealt with a
Mhm.
serial killer. Okay, like clearly, but like obviously, and I imagine a lot of women and probably men have felt this way when you're with someone and all of a sudden you're just like, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel safe. I'm getting a gut feeling that something is really wrong here. So anyway, that was like another thing to process because it brings up old like situations in your head that
Yeah.
not
We also needed a palate cleanser after watching it. But the other thing that I brought up to Oscar was that there for sure is 60, 70, 80-year-old serial killers out there that just are living among us and never got caught from committing murders in the 70s. There has to be. There's no way. They maybe had stopped.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
assuming.
like a cold case and they're
Yeah.
just all the leads are dry and then nobody went back and looked.
I mean, remember the
100%.
BTK killer was just living next door and he had stopped for a while. And so people thought that, he had gone or died or something, but he was still going to church services and living a regular life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's been wild. The only other things, like I said on our Friday chant, I watched all the drag race. There's like 3 drag race franchises out right now. All of a sudden, there was like none for like 3 weeks, and now I'm watching UK, which is fantastic. España, which is super fantastic, and then I'm watching Down Under because RuPaul kind of went to the side, and now Michelle Visage is now hosting it, and I'm just trying to watch the support because it's a brand new host.
Is it different when RuPaul isn't on it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's just a good host. He's a great host. She's great at critiques. I like her tone of voice and her command when she's critiquing. But when she's doing the hello, how's all the ever do? It's just scripted. It doesn't sound good. So we watched that. One of the drag queens used this like really cool, I don't know if it's not AI, but it's like this holographic headpiece. And it was one of the coolest things you've ever seen. I think I showed this to you, Holly. I can't remember, but there's a queen there who is using Well Yes. And she's already used it twice. And there's only been 2 episodes. And it fills me with so much joy.
I did it at home and nobody got it.
Nobody got it. That's okay.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Well, yes.
So so that was that. And then Saturday night, I don't need to get into too much detail, but when Holly was texting us late at night, that's when the worst of the worst was happening.
Oh no.
It was every like 10 minutes. It was awful. I have never, ever in my life gone through something like that. Ever.
So you just kept running to the bathroom?
I kept running to the bathroom. That movie, Woman of the Hour, it's like an hour and a half. It took us like maybe 3 hours and a half to finish it. Because I said, pause.
I wonder if you had some food poisoning.
Maybe because Oscar had the food poisoning last week.
Mm.
So I don't know. Was it related? Was it not? I mean, we usually have the same food, more or less. So
Right.
I don't.
It was either food poisoning or you both had some kind of gastrointestinal bug.
Yeah. I have
Good
no idea.
Lord.
But he got cured. And then a few days later, that's when I got it. So I don't know what it was. But I think it's starting to clear up now. I'm still a little traumatized by food. I did go to Chili's, though, on Sunday with the boys.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't realize I was probably going to be the last time all 5 of us are going to be together. So that was kind of sad. I'm not going to be here these next 2 weekends. And then my friend is moving on Friday. And yeah, and then, a bunch of other schedules just weren't lining up. But yeah, so we had that. We had a really great time. We really did. We just enjoyed some really crappy Chili's food, which isn't crappy at all.
It's not crappy. I'm sorry.
At
Chili's
all.
is solid. Listen, I will come on here and say I used to be a Chili's hater. I used to be. This was probably about 5 years ago. I didn't understand. I was like, Chili's? What's at Chili's even? My fiance was a diehard. He's like, Chili's has the best ranch. I won't hear anything about it.
It's liquidy. But
And he likes that. I don't know. And so then we ended up, I hadn't been in years. And then finally, like a few years ago, I'm like, fine, we'll try Chili's. And then that is one thing where I was like, I'm sorry to say I was absolutely wrong about this. I will stand right with my chest and say I was very wrong. Chili's is solid, consistent, great.
I was just reading an article that so it was actually through a TikToker who does like reviews and stuff, and they from different restaurants, and they reviewed their triple dipper, and apparently that is what's making Chili's go viral on TikTok, because people keep going because you can change out some of the things. And I read an article, that their sales have actually gone up because it's gone viral on TikTok. That people are like having
a TikToker got paid,
right? They're having a whole renaissance of Chili's right now. And it's even got me being like, I feel like my friends and I, we've started this, like, let's go to the restaurants that we used to go to growing up. So we've been to a Red Lobster. We did the Never Ending Pasta Bowl twice at Olive Garden.
You don't gotta ask me twice to go to an Olive Garden.
Yes, that was so good. But then, like, the last time we went, we were like, okay, I think we're good. That was
scratch the itch.
Yeah, we did.
It's got to be every now and then.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry, but like the last time we kind of did, we were like, you know what, we haven't been since like high school. Applebee's. Let's try to eat good in the neighborhood. And we were all fun and games. And then the food came and we were like, okay, so it's not that bad. And then the further we got away from it, I was like, that was terrible.
Yeah.
That was the worst food I've had in years.
That's how I feel about TGI Fridays.
Oh, no, see, Fridays is my heart. I love me some
Fridays.
There's
no Fridays by me. I don't even know where there is a Fridays.
Food. No, I think there's one near the Tyrone Mall, Holly. I think.
Okay,
unless it's closed down, but I think there's one by the Tyrone Mall.
Okay, maybe that. But no, I do not go to Applebee's. Maybe it was the Applebee's near me, but like it was just like having a piece of tough salt on your plate.
No, I love me some Fridays, because especially when we lived in Panama City, like we had one on the beach and one in town, and then the one in town was downstairs of this bank, and so you kind of felt like you were in a big city.
Kind of felt a little fancy,
right? And you were like, "Ooh, girl, we go to Fridays in the big city, girl. It's underneath the building." And so
we did feel like that.
So I love me some Fridays. I haven't been in a long time, but
see, you haven't been, so maybe we don't know what's happened to Fridays.
Right? I do need to, because there is one here in
University.
Charlotte, in the university area that I passed
went.
by.
It was so bad.
Really?
It was so bad.
Oh, but those like rectangular mozzarella sticks were my
It was
favorite.
so bad. At Chili's, you get these fat old, like 1 pound
Big old fat
sticks.
I got those.
Coat
I
'em.
got the triple dipper. I coated it in the Nashville hot.
Yes.
Ooh, but then I absolutely felt like shit afterwards, just so we're all clear.
Oh, yes.
You get the triple dipper, you're going to feel not great. But there's so many other things on the menu to get that don't make you feel terrible.
But I kind of want it though.
I wanted Big Mouth Bites with the
Mm.
honey chipotle chicken crispers.
Mm.
And you can't do this on DoorDash, but you can do it in the store. Your third could be the Texas cheese fries.
Oh,
You don't have to get the other stuff that's on there.
Oh, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
I want
Yes.
it.
Extra ranch.
Oh, la, 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 la.
Okay.
Wait, where is there even a Chili's in?
By Costco, next to on Tyvola Road.
Oh, see, that's only like 7 minutes away from the
Yes,
station.
girl, that's like 5 for me.
Ooh,
So
yes, honey. It looks like Chili's is on the menu for this week or next.
Now you made me want Chili's. Dang it, we're going. We're going. I don't give a F.
Oh, Kelvin, how can people find you on social media?
at Kelvin Live, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.
Holly O'Connor.
Radio Holly on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok.
Mine is at Miguel Fuller on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads as well. We will see you all on Wednesday. Bye.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it